In the relentless world of artificial intelligence, it really feels like you have two choices.
Right.
Either you pay millions to get into those closed-off, state-of-the-art systems from the tech giants, or, you settle for something way less capable in the open source world.
Mm-hmm.
But what if a platform came along that gave you the power of those elite models? I'm talking incredible speed, massive capacity, but at the same time offered the flexibility and, well, the affordability of open source.
And that's exactly why we're talking about this today.
Today, we are deep diving into DeepSeek AI. It's a name that is making huge waves precisely because it threatens to destabilize that entire structure.
That's the exact reason this material landed on your desk. For anyone in development or research or even just needing to use really top-tier AI without those restrictive proprietary walls, DeepSeek is critical viewing.
So what's our mission today?
Our mission is to give you the full overview. We're going to understand exactly what DeepSeek is. We'll spend some time really demystifying the unique tech that powers it, especially its architecture. And then we'll figure out why this combination positions it to genuinely democratize powerful AI.
Okay, let's unpack this. So at its core, DeepSeek isn't just an API. It's positioned as a powerful, very accessible, and highly customizable AI platform.
Right.
So when we talk about democratizing AI, what is the big differentiator here? What sets it apart from, say, the heavy hitters like Anthropic or OpenAI?
It's the open source commitment, but leveraged against real technological parity. See, unlike so many of those state-of-the-art tools locked behind expensive licensing.
Not just limited access.
Exactly. DeepSeek is explicitly open source, and that means the architecture, the model weights, the ability to customize, it's all available to everyone.
Which just dramatically lowers the barrier to entry, doesn't it? If you can download and fine-tune this yourself, then developers, researchers, small businesses, they can all just bypass those huge licensing fees.
Yes. They can build smarter applications at a fraction of the cost.
It really shifts the whole economic model.
Precisely. You move away from paying per token to an API, and you start paying for the compute you run yourself. And that's not a small discount. For thousands of smaller companies or research groups, it's a wholesale change in feasibility, especially in places where those big proprietary fees are just impossible to absorb.
Okay, so that's the strategic angle.
Right.
Now, I want to get under the hood, because accessibility is great, but it needs the power to back it up.
Of course.
The sources keep emphasizing DeepSeek's incredible speed and efficiency, especially with complex data. That is not typical for an open model. How does it actually achieve that scale and speed?
The breakthrough is in the architecture. It's built on advanced neural networks, sure, but they combine that with a highly efficient special architecture. It's called the mixture of experts.
MOE.
MOE, exactly.
That's a term that's become a huge buzzword, but for anyone who might be new to it, what does that actually look like in practice? How does it make things faster?
Okay, so you can imagine a traditional large language model, a dense model, as a giant brain where every single part of the brain activates for every single query you give it.
It's computationally expensive. You're running the whole system for every little task.
Exactly. And MOE model is different. It's made of several smaller, specialized sub-networks. We call them experts.
So if I ask a traditional model a question about history, it's firing up all of its coding logic and its math logic for no reason.
That's the idea. MOE models have a router that activates only the specific experts best suited for that task. If you ask it to write code, it engages the coding expert, maybe a reasoning expert, and leaves the others idle. It's selective processing.
That makes so much sense for efficiency. But is there a trade-off? If you're only activating a subset of the model, does it make it much more expensive or complex to build and train in the first place?
That's a critical question. And yes, training MOE models is significantly more complex, especially that pre-training phase. But once it's trained, the cost savings during inference, which is where 99% of your operational cost is, are immense.
So you trade a higher upfront cost for radically cheaper, faster, and more scalable day-to-day use.
That's the economic shift DeepSeek is exploiting.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because that efficiency translates directly into capacity. The performance advantages are just astounding. DeepSeek is lightning fast, we know that, but it can also handle these exceptionally long and complex queries without losing context. What's the memorable metric we need to keep in mind here?
It can process inputs up to an astonishing 128,000 tokens simultaneously.
Wow.
This is where that MOE architecture just pays huge dividends. Because the calculation required is so much lower, the system can afford to keep an enormous amount of information loaded in its working memory.
And For you, the listener, let's just put that into perspective. When we say 128,000 tokens, we are talking about giving the AI the complete text of, say, a whole book, or maybe a year's worth of business reports, and then asking it a really nuanced question that requires it to synthesize data across all of that at once.
Right. It's not just speed, it's comprehensive data awareness.
So it moves the AI beyond simple Q&A.
Absolutely. It moves it into genuine deep data analysis and complex document synthesis. The model maintains awareness of the entire history or document you've given it.
The fact that DeepSeek can hold that massive context window while also being so efficient, that completely changes the kinds of applications you can even think about building.
It does.
So speaking of which, let's look at the practical side of things. What can users actually do with DeepSeek right now?
Well, the feature set is pretty much what you'd expect from any top-tier model, but with that added flexibility of ownership. You have powerful text generation, of course, everything from drafting emails to writing stories to detailed coding help, but it's the versatility of the input that stands out.
Yeah, we're definitely in the age of multimodal AI, and it sounds like DeepSeek is keeping pace there.
Absolutely. It has multimodal input, so it doesn't just process your text. It understands images, diagrams, visual data. And when you combine that with its capability for real-time insights, developers can plug it right into live data streams to instantly analyze information.
And underpinning all of this is that it's highly customizable. You mentioned the open APIs, and the sources also point to multiple model versions. That's key for adoption, isn't it?
It is. They offer a whole suite of models. You have the general purpose V2 models. You have instruction-tuned models like V3 for specific conversational tasks, and then specialized models like R1, which might focus more on coding or reasoning.
So you can pick the right tool for the job. You don't have to pay for a giant generalist model when you just need a small, highly tuned specialist.
Exactly. It lets users adapt DeepSeek precisely to their project needs.
Let's zoom in on a specific use case just to make this really tangible.
Uh-huh.
Where is DeepSeek having the most impact right now?
Well, we see it in content creation, business automation, educational tools, but the most transformative area, I think, especially given its open source nature, is coding assistance.
Okay, so how does that MOE architecture and that huge context window make it a better coding assistant than, the alternatives?
In coding, context is everything. Imagine a large, complex software project spread across dozens of files.
Right.
A traditional model might only be able to see the one snippet of code you're working on. DeepSeek, with its 128,000 token capacity, can ingest the entire architecture of a mid-sized application. The config files, the dependency map, the bug report, all at once.
I see. So it can perform much more sophisticated debugging because it understands the intent of the whole system, not just the syntax of one function.
That's it. It moves beyond just suggesting a syntax fix to truly understanding the architectural consequences of a proposed change. That is a substantial upgrade.
It's like moving from a pair programmer who only sees what you're writing to a senior architect who has the blueprint of the entire building in front of them.
A perfect analogy. And that versatility is fueling its rapid adoption among developers. That is impressive. But let's ask the hard question, the competitive one. Why DeepSeek? In a world that is saturated with large models from established tech giants, why would a major company or a serious developer choose this platform? And that brings us back to the core strategic advantages. First, as we established, is freedom and cost. The ability to truly own and customize the model without being tied to massive variable licensing fees is huge.
We're talking about the difference between paying pennies per 1,000 tokens to an API versus running it on your own hardware. That scales.
Dramatically. And the second thing is the community. An open source project lives and dies by its community.
And DeepSeek has a strong one.
A vibrant and rapidly accelerating one. The sources also highlight that its development is particularly strong in Asia. This diverse community means the feedback loop is incredibly fast, and the model is being tested and adapted for all kinds of different contexts.
So you have the cost advantage, the community advantage, and then there's just the raw technological depth that makes the output quality stand out.
Precisely. When you put the MOE architecture together with that massive context window, you get a model that's not just fast, but genuinely understands deeper contexts and user intent. It gets what you're trying to do.
We have to be balanced, though. Are there still limitations? Or is this a perfect, infallible AI right now.
No, the sources are very clear on that. It is not infallible. Like all current AI, DeepSeek can still make mistakes. It can get confused, especially with highly niche or specialized topics that were maybe thin in its training data.
And there's still a technical barrier to entry, right?
There is. Setting up an optimizing and MOE model yourself still requires a reasonable level of technical expertise. It's not like just calling a cloud API.
But given its trajectory, with that rapid community input, what does the future look like for its reliability?
Very bullish. Because the development is community-driven, these constraints are being addressed really quickly. Every new fine-tuned model makes it smarter. DeepSeek is positioned to be a persistent, high-performance challenger, constantly raising the bar for what open-source models can do.
So what does this all mean?
It means the competitive landscape of AI is fundamentally changing. DeepSeek shows that the technical ceiling for open-source AI is far higher than many people thought. The barriers to world-class AI are dissolving. You can have state-of-the-art performance and open-source accessibility.
So to summarize for you, the two main insights we've uncovered are that technical edge, that MOE architecture, and that mind-boggling 128,000 token capacity, and the strategic advantage of open source, which translates into real cost savings and creative freedom.
Exactly. This combination is why DeepSeek isn't just another model. It's a critical technology moving into the public domain.
And when you consider the full implications of that, it raises a really important question for every builder and strategist out there.
It does. If DeepSeek, or models built on this principle, become the foundation for rapid global innovation, what truly groundbreaking possibilities does this level of customization unlock for your specific industry or project? Especially when the biggest roadblocks, cost and complexity, are so dramatically reduced.
What can you build when the cutting edge is free to use?
That's the question.
That is a truly provocative thought to leave you with. We've covered DeepSeek AI, its powerful engine, and why this open source model is essential knowledge for anyone building the future.